I'm an Aspie. There's a myth that we can't lie. That's not true. We can lie, but we have to learn how to do it. We're not born with that ability, so we don't come by it naturally, the way most of you out there do. And because we have to learn it, we'll never be as good at it as you are. The thing is, we find it hard to lie because of a difference in how our brains are wired from yours. Lying is mostly a social phenomenon, and we're just not so good at understanding social things. So when we try to lie, we're at a distinct disadvantage. Our reduced social ability also means that all those social nuances, social cues, and unstated social implications that you pick up on so easily are pretty much missed by us. So naturally, we tend to interpret language quite literally. Strangely enough, that reduction in social ability also means that our emotions don't own us the way yours do you. This happens because our diminished ability to process social nuances and skills doesn't give our brains enough ability to assign much social meaning to our emotions. And it's that assignment of meaning that gives emotions so much control over people. But there is one last point. When I say that we find it hard to lie, that includes finding it hard to lie to ourselves. I have no emotional attachment to a particular religion, for example. That means I lack an emotional attachment that would cause me to make excuses for a particular religion when it does inconsistent, contradictory, or just plain bad things. It also means I have no emotional reason to create or exaggerate reasons to make the things other religions do seem bad, or at least worse than they really are. Of course, this means I'm an agnostic. It's the only logical belief when it comes to religion. When it comes to politics, it's much the same. I don't have an emotional attachment to a particular political philosophy or narrative. I don't buy into any of them, because they're all someone else's idea how the world should work, not how it does work. So of course, I'm a pragmatist. Being an agnostic and a pragmatist makes the world simpler and more straightforward to me. But you neurotypical people out there, you non-Aspies, you would never stand for it if we always told the truth. You would make our lives miserable if we did. For example, if a neurotypical woman was to ask one of us, "Do these pants make me look fat?" we would assume that she was asking a question, and that the woman asking the question really wanted an honest answer. After all, why else do people ask questions? So of course, we would give her an honest answer. Taking out my neurotypical to Aspie dictionary, however, it says that the woman was not asking a question at all. She was, in point of fact, requesting that I give her a positive response, thus reassuring her that all of her many decisions leading up to her wearing those pants at that particular time were good ones. Thus I would tell her she looked great, even if she didn't. Strictly speaking, if she didn't look good in those pants, I'd be lying. But I have learned, the hard way, how to occasionally decode what's really being said, and how to give the correct, ritualistic answer. Strictly speaking, that means I've learned to tell a lie, although in my mind I could simply be giving a stylized or ritualistic response to a stylized or ritualistic statement. The obvious problem here, of course, is that anyone who knew me would know that I was lying, or at least that I saw it as a lie. The truth is that those of us who are Aspies can get ourselves all discombobulated in the difference between the straightforward simplicity of literal speech, on the one hand, and stylized ritualistic nature of social speech, on the other. I can teach myself to recognize some of the social speech, but that recognition usually only comes after the fact. So, to put the myth to rest, can we lie? Sure, but it's very different from the way you do it, and it's done for different ends. Thus, even our lies tend to be, at least on one level, the truth. Okay, why am I bringing this up? Good question. I'm an essayist and video creator. I have a lot of things to say based on my Aspie point of view, a lot of things that are controversial. That's why I like to point out that besides logical thinking, Aspies also have an ability to focus on a topic in depth. So I can safely say that I arrive at each and every one of my conclusions after an in-depth analysis of the topic, and not because my position feels emotionally as if it should be true, which is how most people determine their positions on any topic. In short, what I write about I believe to be true, based on logic, reason, and fact. Yet in these days of modern times, logic, reason, and fact have become ground zero for controversy. From my perspective, we're on the brink of a new dark age, when a clergy of St. Mark's demands that a new heresy in the form of science be not just destroyed, but obliterated, towards which end the libraries of the world would be purged of science texts and journals in a new bonfire of the vanities, lest these evil works of anti-equity spread the taint of the new sin of logic, reason, and fact. As one whose training has been declared heretical by the new cult of ignorance, and as an anthropologist, I can say without fear of contradiction, legitimate contradiction that is, that I have yet to find a single religion that is worth my time, or a single political system that is not a fantasy. In fact, I'll compound my heresy with the undeniable observation that some religions are better than others, and some are worse than others, but none are what they represent themselves to be. And some political systems are better, some are worse, but none of them is based on human nature. Thus everyone, with the sole exception of pragmatism, is doomed to failure. Every one. And now to commit the ultimate heresy. Some cultures are better than others, and some are worse than others. It's true that all cultures come from the same ultimate source, and are equally as old. But each developed under a unique set of conditions, and are therefore not all equally as transferable to a different set of conditions. I realize that this will piss off a lot of true believers because they contradict the teachings of the Marxist cult. But that's all it is, a cult. Because cults are based on belief, not facts, not evidence, not reality, and certainly not truth. And now to the point of this video. I'd like to present my favorite example of my own individual take on a specific current controversy. Despite all the arguments for and against private gun ownership here in the U.S., there's one fact that never gets mentioned that renders all the other arguments moot. Anyone with a home workshop can make an automatic weapon and the cartridges to use in it. I know this firsthand because I know people who have done it and seen the product of their handiwork. Good quality automatic weapons can always be made. Therefore, nothing short of the most draconian dictatorship could keep guns out of the hands of people who want them as long as they have the ability to make them. Nothing. Being an Aspie does not mean I have discovered some grand new argument for or against any particular topic. It means I have my own perspective that I've yet to see anyone else mention. It's that simple. Thanks for watching my rant. My goal with these videos is to present to you the world through the eyes of an Aspie. If I have succeeded, remember, the life I would love to become accustomed to is funded by viewers like you. So please like my video, share it, subscribe, leave a comment, remember me in your will, or better yet, send cash.